Imagine this for a second. You are the ultimate authority on what is right and wrong. You've received divine commands, you're the lawgiver. Your understanding of justice is, well, it's pretty much perfect by definition.
And that's Moses, Musa, the great prophet. And the incredible thing about this story, the real twist, is that he, with all that knowledge, is told to go find someone who knows even more.
Someone whose wisdom just completely shatters everything Moses thinks he knows about morality.
Exactly.
We are diving into that very journey today. The incredible narrative of Moses and this mysterious figure, this sage known as Khidr or Al-Khidr.
It's a really central story in the Quran. You find it in Surah Al-Kahf, verses 60 to 82.
And our sources for this deep dive, they give us this amazing mix of theology, a bit of psychology, and some comparative history, too.
It's often seen as, the ultimate test of faith. It pits the revealed law, what they call the Sharia, against this unseen, hidden divine wisdom.
So our mission today is to try and synthesize all of this. We want to figure out who Khidr really is, what this secret knowledge, this ilm laduni, is all about, and, maybe most importantly, tackle the huge moral questions raised by what he does.
Oh, yeah. The 3 acts. The vandalism, the apparent murder, and what just looks like a total waste of time.
It's a shortcut to understanding that context is, well, it's everything.
Okay, so let's start with the setup. Moses is told he has to go on this journey to find a specific servant of God. But who is this person, Khidr?
The Quran is very cagey about it, isn't it? It's intentionally vague.
It is. It never even uses his name. It just calls him one of our servants to whom we had granted mercy and taught knowledge from our own presence.
That phrase alone, from our own presence, that tells you this person is operating on a completely different level.
It really does. The name Khidr al-Khidr, which means the green one, that actually comes from the prophetic traditions from Hadith.
And why the green one?
The story goes that wherever he sat, even on barren land, it would just turn green and vibrant beneath him. It's a symbol of life, of this ever-fresh, direct knowledge he has.
So what's his status? I mean, if Moses, a major prophet, is being sent to learn from him, Khidr has to be. Well, at least on his level, right?
That is the big classical debate. Many of the great scholars like Al-Tabari or Al-Qurtubi, they argued he had to be a prophet himself.
Why?
Because he was acting on these unique, direct, divine commands about the future. He could bypass the normal, established law, the Sharia. And that power, they argue, is a sign of prophethood.
But not everyone agrees.
No. Others see him more as a wali, a righteous, saintly servant who is just granted this special kind of esoteric knowledge, this ilm al-ghayb. But either way, we're talking about a category of knowledge that is far beyond what humans can normally access.
Okay, so Moses and his young companion, they set out on this journey, and their destination is described as the junction of the 2 seas.
Majma al-Bahrain.
Right. And our sources point out that nobody really agrees on where that is geographically. Some say the Red Sea, some say the Strait of Gibraltar. Does it even matter where it was?
Physically, probably not. The consensus is that the location is a metaphor. It's symbolic.
Metaphor for what?
For the meeting point between 2 worlds of knowledge. The external apparent world that Moses represents and the hidden internal reality that Khidr embodies. The quest wasn't for a place on a map.
It was for the place where those 2 realities meet.
Exactly.
And there's a sign to let them know when they've arrived. And it's a pretty strange one. It involves a fish.
Yes. A salted fish they'd brought along to eat. The sign was that at the right spot, they would forget the fish and it would miraculously come back to life and swim away into the sea. Life
Returning to something that was dead. That's a powerful symbol for a sacred place.
Absolutely. But they miss it.
They walk right past it. Moses' servant, he forgets to mention that he saw the fish swim away. Let's just pause on that for a moment. This massive spiritual quest gets derailed by simple forgetfulness.
It's such a human moment. In the religious tradition, this kind of forgetting nisyan is sometimes linked to human weakness, even to, satanic whispers that distract you from remembering God.
It shows how fallible we are.
For sure. But if you look at it from a psychological perspective, which our sources also do, it's really just cognitive science.
You mean it wasn't a moral failing?
Not necessarily. Think about it. They're on a long, hard journey. They're tired, focused on finding this person. The brain is under a heavy cognitive load. It just filters out a detail like the fish.
So it's cognitive interference.
Exactly. Whether you see it as a spiritual lapse or just a neurological limit, the outcome is the same. Hearing perception, even for a prophet, is limited.
And that sets up the meeting perfectly. Because when Moses finally tracks back and meets Khidr, Khidr is incredibly blunt. He just says, you will not be able to have patience with me.
And this is the moment those two worlds of knowledge collide. Moses has what's called ilm al-sharia. That's the knowledge of normative law. It's based on evidence, what you can see. If he sees an injustice, his prophetic duty is to stop it. Right now.
But Khidr's knowledge is different.
Completely different. He has ilm al-laduni, this divinely given knowledge of the unseen. It's not about evidence, it's about knowing the future consequences, knowing destiny. It's absolute certainty.
So when Moses gets impatient later on, it's not actually a character flaw.
No, it's a virtue. It's his job description. His law demanded that he protest what looked like vandalism or murder.
If he had stayed silent, he would have been violating his own mission.
Precisely. His protest was the highest form of following the law that he knew. He had to challenge Khidr based on the outward evidence.
That's such a crucial distinction. Okay, so let's get into the first test. They're on a boat that belongs to some poor villagers, and Khidr just starts damaging it.
He makes a defect in it, punches a hole, maybe breaks a plank. And Moses is, horrified. He immediately says something like, "Did you just do that to drown its people?"
I mean, from his perspective, it's senseless vandalism against the poor.
Yeah.
He condemns it immediately.
Right. But what was the hidden reality?
What was the wisdom?
It was a kind of preemptive protection. Khidr explains that just up ahead, there was a tyrannical king who was seizing every single perfect boat for his fleet.
Ah, so by making the boat imperfect, he saved it.
He saved it from being stolen altogether. The owners were poor people. This boat was their livelihood. They could easily repair the small damage later, but they would have lost it forever otherwise.
So a small temporary harm to prevent a total permanent loss. It's almost a kind of divine utilitarianism.
Yeah, you could see it that way, yes.
Okay, if that test was morally tricky, the second one just blows everything out of the water. It's a moral catastrophe.
This is the absolute peak of the tension. Khidr kills a child.
A young boy, a ghulam. And Moses' reaction is just. It's instant. He calls it a prohibited thing. I mean, from all outward appearances, this boy was innocent.
And we have to stop there because Moses' reaction is the 100% correct human and legal reaction.
Of course.
Based on observable reality, what Khidr did was murder, plain and simple. But Khidr wasn't operating on observation.
He was operating on certainty. What was the justification for this horrific act?
Khidr revealed that he was acting on direct, explicit divine knowledge. He knew with certainty that this boy would grow up to become a disbeliever, a kufr, who would oppress his devout, believing parents.
He would cause them spiritual ruin.
A spiritual catastrophe, yes. So the act was, in a way, a preemptive mercy for the parents to protect their faith.
And the story adds something else, doesn't it?
It does. It adds that God would replace that son with another child, one who would be righteous and good to them. But, and this is the absolute critical point that all the scholars make, this was a unique divine command about an inevitable future.
This is not a green light for anyone else to do something like this.
Not at all. No human can claim this kind of knowledge to justify violence. Human law must always, always be based on the law of Moses. Present, observable evidence.
That clarification is so important. Okay, so that sets up the third test, which almost seems trivial in comparison, but it still doesn't make logical sense.
Right. They arrive in a town, and the people are incredibly hostile. They refuse them food, they refuse them hospitality. And yet, what does Khidr do?
He sees a wall that's about to fall down, and he just spends his time and energy fixing it. For free. For people who are awful to them.
It makes no economic sense. But the hidden wisdom here is about generational justice.
What do you mean?
Khidr explained that underneath that wall, there was a hidden treasure. And it belonged to two young orphans in the town whose father had been a very righteous man.
So he repaired the wall to protect their inheritance.
Exactly. He stabilized it so the treasure would stay safe until they grew up and could claim it for themselves. It was an act of divine mercy, rewarding the father's righteousness by protecting his children, even when the community around them failed.
Wow. So in all three cases, the boat, the boy, the wall, an act that seems unjust or illogical on the surface is actually an act of protection.
All based on complete knowledge of the past, present, and future.
So let's talk about the modern critiques, because this story, especially the part about the boy, it raises huge philosophical problems.
It does.
The idea of pre-crime punishment. If the boy was killed because he would become wicked, critics say that violates free will. How do you punish a crime that hasn't happened yet?
That's the core challenge. The skeptic's argument goes like this. If the boy was predestined to be evil, then he didn't really have free will, which makes the punishment seem arbitrary. But if he did have free will, then he could have chosen to be good, which makes the killing premature.
It's a real dilemma. What's the scholarly defense?
The defense rests entirely on Khidr's unique status. It's not about probability, it's about Khidr acting on God's absolute certainty. He wasn't judging a potential future, he was executing a divine judgment on an inevitable one.
So his action is outside the realm of human moral judgment entirely.
Completely. It's an act of divine sovereignty, not a model for human justice. In fact, it's meant to show the opposite, that we humans cannot act this way.
You know, it's interesting because this whole theme, the wise guy doing strange things, it has parallels in other traditions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Our sources point out that while this specific telling is unique to the Quran, you see similar motifs in the Near East. There are striking parallels in Jewish Midrash, for instance, in stories about Rabbi Joshua ben Levi traveling with the prophet Elijah.
Where Elijah does things that seem cruel or bizarre.
Exactly, and then later reveals the hidden blessings behind them. The theme was in the air, so to speak.
So the Quranic version takes this powerful, maybe even folkloric structure and gives it a very specific theological purpose.
Correct. It's framed as the divinely corrected truth of that theme, revealed to answer questions that were already being asked. It's meant to teach this lesson in what you might call epistemic humility.
This whole dive, it just makes it so clear that this isn't just a historical story, it's a parable. A deep ethical parable about the limits of what we can know.
It teaches patience, Saber, in the face of what looks like total chaos.
And it drives this sharp, bright line between two kinds of justice. You have Moses, who represents human justice based on the evidence you have right now, which is the only way a society can function.
And then you have Khidr, who administers a divine justice based on certain unseen destiny.
Which brings us to the final provocative thought. If our laws, our entire ethical system, must always prioritize observable evidence, the boat is damaged now, the boy is innocent now, does this story imply that all human justice is just inherently limited?
And that to really function ethically, we have to have this profound humility, this acceptance that we never have the full picture and that we need some faith in a hidden perfect order.
The challenge for you, listening, is where you draw that line. When you see what looked like an injustice, what's your responsibility? This story seems to say you must act on what you can see, on the law.
But at the same time, it asks you to trust that there is a wisdom guiding things you can't see. It demands both certainty in your actions and complete humility in your judgment.